15 years old, they started training with this guy.
Oh my gosh.
Look it up, Marcus Luttrell's entry into special operations, and you will be absolutely, positively understand Generation X.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I hope you die. That was the best line out of the whole thing.
Well, hello and welcome to HealthLine. I'm Jennifer Blomquist. I have the privilege of hosting the program tonight. So glad you joined us. If you're a regular, you kind of know how this goes. We have a guest live here in the studio, and we give you the opportunity to call in and ask questions. That's why we keep that phone number at the bottom of the screen. If you're new to the show, let me just explain a couple things. So the phone number, like you see, is 969-2720. If you're outside of Fort Wayne, it's still a free call. It can be a toll-free call. Just put an 866 in front of there. You have two options when you call in. My favorite option is you call in, you talk to the call screener, and then they will at some point put you through live and you can ask your question live. That's always nice because sometimes our guest likes to get more information from you to give you a better answer, a more complete answer. So that's a great option. But if you're maybe more shy or you prefer not to ask it live, you certainly can do that. Just when you talk to the call screener, relay the question to them, and then I will ask our guest that question for you. So either way, you get an answer and great free advice tonight. So I just want to keep you aware of all your options. Let's go ahead and introduce you to tonight's guest. If you watch regularly, you've seen this guy before. This is Ted Blandford. He is a hearing instrument specialist and knows everything there is to know about hearing instruments, about getting your hearing checked, all sorts of fun stuff like that. So maybe you are dealing with an issue regarding hearing, or maybe you just had Thanksgiving with some relatives last week, and maybe you're concerned about somebody you haven't seen. You know, there are a lot of families that they only see each other at Thanksgiving or Christmas time, and maybe you've noticed some changes and you're concerned. So Ted's your guy to ask the questions about tonight. But good to see you, Ted.
It's great to be here.
Thank
It's
you.
always fun to come in.
Well, and it's so great. We have such great viewers, and they always ask great questions.
Yes,
So
looking forward to those questions.
We are. So please call us at any time. We're going to start discussing things regarding hearing instruments, but please feel free to call at any time. That was one thing when we did our program last month. We were saying, hey, the holidays are coming up. You don't want to miss out on those important conversations.
Yeah.
Because if you can't hear, we've talked before, it leads to isolation.
Well,
it can.
What really comes to family, friends, gathering, we're social. Human beings are social creatures.
Right.
We love to be around people. We love to be into the gatherings of the people we love, and we love the most to be around. And if you cannot hear a conversation, you can't be part of their lives too. And my grandmother said something that was really profound. She says, if I'm with the people I love, I can't hear their questions. I can't give them my soul. My ears are they're the gateway to where I give them my soul. And I love to hear the stories about the ice in the ice box, and the tandem bicycle rides, and my grandfather Oscar, and all those wonderful things. If she couldn't hear and understand the questions, then there's no way I could get that information. We have living history around us all the time. We should be part of those conversations, and they're alive. And our holidays are when we do it the most, and this is
Yeah.
when it's most important. So if you know somebody that's suffering from some hearing loss or they feel isolated, and you notice it, especially at those holiday season time frame, that's the time to have that conversation and make sure that it's something special. It could be a gift of hearing, not just for the person with the hearing loss, but to everyone around them. It's very, very important.
Well, and it's like you've said so many times in the past, we don't really think much about, gosh, most people go to the doctor at least once a year. You get your eyes checked, you get new vision glasses once a year. A lot of people's insurance will cover that. Dental checkups, it's always recommended 2 a year. I mean, there's so many things that we don't think twice about. Oh yeah, I got to go there twice a year, once a year. Hearing, you never hear people talk about that.
About 74% of people will go to their ophthalmologist yearly, and their dentist, about 65% will go to their dentist annually, but only 23-24% and go see anybody about their hearing. And it's not necessarily on a yearly basis. It's every other 2 or 3, maybe 4 years. And a lot of folks have not seen someone to help them with their hearing, or at least find out where their hearing is, since grade school.
Well, you used to get the tests in school, and
even then it was just a screening. It wasn't really a full hearing evaluation. Right. And if you're one of those folks and you're wondering if there's an issue, or better yet, get a baseline. Find out where you are today in case something does happen and you notice there is a shift. You can see how much of a shift it was.
Yeah, even if you're a younger person, we've talked about this before too, men and women alike, I mean, maybe you're not having an issue, but I mean, it can be helpful, like you said, to see how it's maybe changed
like
over
any chronic disease. If you identify it early, you care for it early, you manage it for the rest of your life, and you're happy that way. You can manage it to be successful in life. And if you ignore it and it becomes too bad, it's a little bit too late. It could be a problem.
Well, and it's not a pain. You've emphasized this before. It's not a painful.
No, it is not painful
visit.
at all.
I mean, you go. Do you want to kind of walk people through what you would expect? At a typical visit?
On a typical hearing evaluation, you're going to go in like any other doctor's appointment. You're going to give some information about your hearing loss, about your health history, and things like this. So the hearing health professional understands who you are and what's going on and what your concerns are, and then they're going to do an otoscopy or otoscopic exam and look inside your ear canal. And a lot of times you can be able to be part of that as well, because it's a video otoscope that looks inside your ear, so you can see exactly what the hearing health professional is also looking at. And after that, they do a familiar word test to find out whether you hear and understand, because that's really important to know this. It's not just hearing, because most folks say, I can't hear. Well, what they're trying to say is they don't quite understand what's being said. That is a very big distinction. So a familiar word test would be part of that, and a familiar voice test. Having someone that you are around all the time, a spouse, a adult child, or a friend, to come in with you to use their voice to help you hear and understand. And then, of course, the beeps and the bongs, what we call the beeps and the bongs, and the basic audiogram, where we find out what you can and cannot hear based on thresholds and frequency. And of course, then most of the hearing health professionals would be able to find a solution for you and demonstrate how much a hearing aid would be able to help you based on your hearing loss prescriptively. And if you look at the screen here, you can see there's two different, there are actually several different quadrants, but if you, on the vertical line, to the left of the vertical line, it says, I hear. Well, those are the sounds that identify sound around you. Those are the low tones. The low tones say, yes, I know that there is sound there. And to the right, you have the high frequencies, and that says, I understand. These sounds here do not generate a lot of energy, but they give meaning to the words, and they give meaning to the sounds, so you can have conversation and cognitive understanding. Those are two completely different sides of your hearing test, and that right there will be the distinction between success of a solution and just getting something to get by. Understanding your hearing and understanding your hearing loss. It's very, very important to know that. And our hearing health professionals here in Fort Wayne are top notch.
Oh, yeah, it's just, and we, Ted has brought some hearing instruments with that. I want to show people them,
Sure.
But we did in the meantime get a call, so we'll take that first and then we'll get to the hearing instruments. This was from somebody named Bays. Wanted to know, can you experience feedback in your hearing aid.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, feedback was one of the leading causes for people not to like their hearing aids. And what happens is it's too much power going into the ear at a specific frequency that bounces off the eardrum, comes back, and it gives like a microphone next to a speaker kind of feedback. Several things that need to be done. Number one, if you have hearing aids and it does this, see your hearing health professional to have it adjusted to make sure that it's fitting correctly, make sure it's fitting in there tight enough, or if it needs to be adjusted for the frequencies to not do that to you, or have the hearing aid adjusted to make sure it is in your realm of your frequency and gain. There's a whole bunch of other big words there that, frankly, make sure it's fitting right and make sure it's adjusted correctly. Your hearing health professional will help you with that.
And
the feedback is very, very common if it's not fit properly.
Yeah, and the great thing is once you have established a relationship with somebody, it's nice you can go back. It's one of those things where you keep going back and they can help you.
Once you hear part of the hearing family, your hearing professional will be able to help you with that very, very easily.
It's nice to have that relationship. I want to tell Bays I appreciate that call and question. It was super. And you can do the same thing. You can call in. Question. Yeah, we can take your question that way where you just call in and give it to the call screener, or you can ask it live. That's why the phone number is at the bottom of the screen up until the end of the show. It's 969-2720. Again, still a toll-free call if you're outside of Fort Wayne, as long as you put an 866 in front of there. One thing, talking about hearing instruments, they've come a very long way. And
they certainly have.
They're not what most of us, like growing up in the 70s, I remember them being kind of clunky and very noticeable. And the ones that are on the table out here, I can assure you, do not look like that.
Absolutely. And if you look at the advancement, just in the designs alone, you see hearing aids that go completely into the canals, hearing aids that go outside of the canal, hearing aids that go behind the ear, and things like that. While as advanced as the outside shells of the hearing aids and the size of the hearing aids has advanced, so has the technology. Hearing aids now can connect to your smartphone, so you can hear and understand on your telephone much more easily. They connect in other ways to allow the hearing aid to analyze the environment around you, so it's a most optimum ability to hear and understand in background noise, in cluttered and loud, difficult listening situations, or someone across the table to you when you want to have a nice, small, intimate conversation with someone say at a restaurant or something like that. And it allows the hearing aid can analyze that environment around you to be able to bring that conversation into and give you as close to normal and natural hearing as possible. It is not your grandpa's hearing aid anymore.
No.
And it shows by size and by technology. It's quite amazing. We have artificial intelligence embedded into hearing aids today. And there's also Bluetooth compatibility, like I had mentioned before.
Yeah.
But it is something that allows us to have as close to normal and natural hearing as we possibly can.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Just knowing a lot of my relatives as they were, as I was growing up, that was the thing that like you said, they didn't like them because of the feedback. They didn't like them because they were just kind of clunky and very noticeable. And I feel like it's not even just the technology, but also it's become a more compassionate industry.
Absolutely.
Over the years.
I always told my father, your hearing loss is so much more visible than your hearing aids ever would be.
Yeah.
And it allows you to be part of the world.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, and I we've experienced that at our house too, where my husband had some hearing issues, and it's a huge turnoff to kids. Like,
absolutely.
Even my kids did not even want to. It was too much work to try and communicate with him. Yeah. Even though they love my husband, they still do, and now he can hear them, which is
that's
good.
Great. I'm glad that got resolved, because that's a real tough issue.
It is, and it can be hurtful. So, well, we are getting some more calls.
Excellent.
So I'm going to go ahead and get to these questions. Let's see. Marcia called in, and she says she has tinnitus, and how should she treat that?
That's a really good question.
And the tinnitus is the...
Tinnitus or tinnitus, it's ringing, buzzing, or whooshing sounds in your ear that no one else can hear but you. Yeah. If you have tinnitus or tinnitus in your ears, first things first is make sure you get evaluated and find out where that tinnitus is. And your hearing health professional will be able to help you find out how to treat it the best. Now, tinnitus cannot be, there's no cure for it. It is part of the sounds in your brain, and it is activated by the organs in your ear. So they are very well connected. But to be able to manage them, it is generally with a hearing aid with masking capability and tinnitus prescriptive capabilities in them. And the first step is always to see your hearing health professional and to find out where your hearing is and where the tinnitus could be and is ringing inside that audiogram that we showed earlier today. It'll show us exactly where your ringing is, and the professional can help you pinpoint where that is and then help you relieve it by masking or ambient sounds correctly. So first step is always get a hearing test.
Well, and we had another gentleman named Ray who called in and kind of asked the same thing after Marcia called in and about the ringing in the ears. And it's not gonna. It sounds like it wouldn't really go away until you get it addressed, or does it sometimes on its own improve?
Well, there's several. Now, understand this: there is no cure for tinnitus, and not everybody experiences the same thing as everyone else because we are unique. Our brain is unique, and tinnitus is unique to the person that is experiencing it. But there is hope. There is the ability to have it managed, but you have to find out where it is and what it is and how we can manage it the best. And the first step, again, seeing a hearing healthcare professional to be able to pinpoint that. Now, depending on how long it's been, what it causes it, there's several reasons that tinnitus occurs. It could be ototoxic. There's probably 200 over-the-counter and prescriptive drugs that one of their top 3 side effects is ringing of the ears. It could be a head injury. It could be something as simple as wax. But you don't know until you see someone to help you find out. And that's the very first step. And a lot of the hearing health professionals out there have examinations where it's at no cost, so you can find out what's going on and then be able to have an intelligent understanding of what's going on so you can make a good decision.
Yeah, that is. We've had some people call in the past, year where it's debilitating, like it interrupts their sleep. I mean, it sounds horrible to me.
There's statistics of the VA that would make you cry.
Yeah. So definitely no reason not to address it. You didn't do anything wrong. It's not going to hurt to get it addressed. Just get it checked out for sure. Let's see. We have another person who called. Janice called, and she said she's on her 2nd pair of hearing aids, but she's having trouble keeping them charged. That's the one thing that's different. You can recharge them now. So she's wondering what she should do, Ted.
Well, that was one of the things I didn't mention. Well, not our grandfather's hearing aids. It's rechargeable hearing instruments. Now, depending on the age of the hearing aid, generally a hearing aid comes with a 3-year manufacturer warranty, and within that 3-year manufacturer warranty, that lithium battery that's inside that charged hearing instrument has a lifespan. And generally, what the industry says it's about a 1,000 charges or 3 years worth of charging in each hearing instrument. If you're experiencing them not keeping a charge, see your hearing health care professional and ask them to send it into the manufacturer and have that battery replaced, or at least find out if there's something wrong with the hearing instruments itself, and then you can have that taken care of for you. It's something very, very simple when the charge is not keeping up with your lifestyle, is to make sure that the hearing instruments is in good repair and that the battery is actually something that's keeping a charge itself, because like anything else, lithium batteries and every other battery, they're unpredictable at times, and sometimes they last a long time, sometimes they don't last a long time. And also, if you wear them like a lot of our patients do, and folks out there wear them 10, 12, 14, 16 hours a day, you're going to pull a charge on those. So, and your professional will be able to help you with that, for sure. That's a good question.
I feel like we haven't really talked about how you can recharge them now, just like your cell phone.
The rechargeable feature has really allowed our patients, allowed the folks with hearing loss to be able to have a much more active lifestyle. Okay. Not have to carry batteries around all the time and change batteries. And those with dexterity issues, it's opened up a whole new world for folks that have difficulty moving around small things.
Oh, sure.
And the rechargeable has given them some freedom. It's really amazing.
Yeah, I used to always, I'm a coupon clipper, and there was always with there'd always be batteries on sale, and there was always a hearing aid battery, but I've seen them at the store, and they are tiny. They are tiny. That would be hard to manage.
Even the big ones are tiny.
Yeah, right. We just want to remind everybody that we keep that phone number up at the bottom of the screen because we welcome your calls. We've had several really good calls tonight, great questions, and of course Ted has a wealth of expertise that he'd like to share with you. So don't be shy. Again, all of our callers tonight have opted to just talk to the call screener and relay the question to them that way. That's a great option, or you can ask it live, whichever you feel most comfortable doing. It's 969-2720. Again, it's still a free call if you put 866 in front of there, just in case you're outside of Fort Wayne. Another thing I wanted to ask you about the hearing aids, or we've talked before that they don't really cure hearing loss.
No, and that's something we really need to address, because you saw one of the callers earlier said, this is my second set of hearing instruments. Yes, hearing aids do not stop hearing loss. It helps us manage our hearing loss, but it does not stop our hearing loss. And like anything else, there's a lifespan, and there's a range, or the dynamic range of where a hearing instrument can be effective. If it goes beyond that range, of course, the prescription needs to change, very similar to glasses or anything else that would be progressive as it would be. And even if it's a small amount of actual change on the chart that you see, that can make a big difference in how well you hear and understand and how effective the hearing aid can be for you. So the hearing aids can slow down the hearing loss. Hearing aids can manage the hearing loss, and hearing aids can do one thing that I say is so much more important than everything else. Hearing aids can allow you to have that longevity for the next prescription to work with something, even though it may have collapsed more. That next prescription can be stronger and be able to get back with the nerve endings that have not deteriorated or died because you didn't wear hearing instruments before. And that it's just keeping those nerve endings inside your cochlea alive and viable for the next prescription to be able to help you with that. So know that your hearing professional is going to be able to, you're going to chart your progression and be able to advise you at the best time to be able to either change a prescription or continue on with the prescription you're working with. And it's important to be able to listen to your professional with that.
You know, one thing, you know, when you go to the eye doctor, which most people I think go every year, you don't realize like how much you're, like when they're doing the testing and you think, oh my gosh, you know, they'll say, well, this is the prescription you have now, but this is what you need. And it's amazing. And I'm sure it's the same with the hearing. It's like you don't realize it until you get that tested and checked, you know.
Well, I'll be seeing that guy pretty soon too, because I know that my eyes have changed just like anything else, and it's only been 2 years. Like, well, it's because we are aging, and that's how our bodies work.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, we have great resources in Fort Wayne, so there's no reason to be shy about it, and it's something that everybody experiences.
We have a wonderful population of hearing professionals in this area. It's quite amazing.
All right, well, again, call anytime. Ted and I are going to continue to talk about hearing aids, or a couple of things we didn't get to last time that we want to discuss, but we would love to hear from you even more than what we're talking about. So feel free to call. There, again, is that number at the bottom of your screen. One thing we were going to talk about were wax guards, and I was not really familiar with what those were until you sent that.
Wax guards are exactly how they sound. They're a filter on the end of the hearing instrument that goes into your ear canal that protects the receiver from wax that's in your ear. And oftentimes, as a matter of fact, one of the more common questions are, my hearing aid stopped working, why? And then the first question is, did you change your wax guard? And what a wax guard does is it's a screen, a protective screen. I don't know if you can see it on one of these here. If you look down on my hand to the right of that little white dot in the center of that.
Oh, yeah.
Now that is a wax guard. Beyond that wax guard is the receiver. And this is the part that goes into your ear canal. And when that fills up with wax, it basically blocks off sound. And it allows you to know that it needs to be changed or cleaned. Now, if you clean your wax guards daily, you shouldn't have an issue, but you should change them about once a month. And what this filter does is it just protects the receiver. That's what a wax guard is. So it's guarding against wax.
And is that something that all the hearing aids pretty much have that now?
Yes. Well, yes. I would say at least 90+% of the hearing aids today have a wax guard or a wax filter on them. And it's just a precautionary measure to make sure that your hearing aids are at tip-top shape at all times.
Yeah, well, that's nice to know that it could be something so simple, a simple fix.
It seems simple, but it's very critical.
I'm sure. Let's see, we had another caller who wanted to ask a question, Ted. So this is Shirley. She said she is hearing her own voice a lot more and more loudly than when she's talking. Is that related to a hearing issue?
Oh, that's a good question. Now, if you're hearing your own voice, that means there's a possibility that there's some occlusion, or the hearing instrument, your ears may be a little bit blocked, or you might have some sinus issues where you're feeling full inside your own ears. But if you feel like you're talking louder and you're having difficulty with conversation, the first thing to do is make sure that your ears are clear, and your hearing professional can do that. And then you have a hearing exam to find out what your baseline is, to see if that is what's causing you to raise your voice or talk more loudly in conversation. Oftentimes, when you do have a hearing loss, you do raise your voice a little bit more to be able to hear yourself or self-regulate our own modulation in our voice. But it sometimes goes just the opposite too. If you hear someone take their voice way down, is they don't want to sound loud, so they don't exactly know how loud they're really talking. So both of them could be related to a hearing loss, but you don't know until you see your professional.
Yeah, for sure. That it can be, I would imagine that could be pretty annoying too.
Yeah, it can be very, very distracting in conversations, for sure.
We only have like a minute left, Ted, but we had one person call in. Branda wanted to know if there's any kind of a recycling program for old hearing aids instead of just throwing them away.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
There's two ways you can do that. I know that the Lions Club still accepts hearing instruments.
That's right.
But also, if you find a group, an ENT or a hearing professional or someone that does work with hearing aids, they'll be able to help you find a home for those hearing instruments one way or another, even if it's something as simple as a group that would, a 501c3 in the area that would be able to help with those, to have them recycled. And usually they go back to the manufacturer to be reconditioned and to help and distributed that way.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a great
That's a
great
really
question,
good question. I like that
because
one.
You really don't want to throw it away.
Yeah,
it's like
you don't
when
want to
you're
throw
with your
more.
glasses too. I know the Lions Club will take glasses as well. We are out of time, sadly.
It's a great way to end.
Ted,
I like that one.
Yeah, that was awesome. And of course, Ted, you are awesome. Ted Blandford, hearing instrument specialist. So glad to see him again, and so thankful to all of you for your great calls tonight. So I'm Jennifer Blomquist. Take care, and we'll see you the next week. Bye-bye.